Thanks for that. So we'll start with an opening prayer from my lovely wife, Valeria.
Please join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Parents, good morning or good lunch already. Today's Sunday, and we gather here with our brothers and sisters from Ireland to start off our week with you, Father, and to spend this day with you. I'm so grateful for every one of those people who can attend today, and we pray so that all those who are joining through Zoom, they can be in good health. And I really thank you, Father, for this precious day we can devote to you, and we can come to your house, to this beautiful place, to talk to you, to bring you our pains, our sorrows, and maybe something that is weighing on our hearts. I really sincerely pray, Father, so you can be here with us and talk through people we're going to be talking with or listening to. And we can always feel your precious presence with us, your heart towards us, and we can always strive to be a better children for you. Thank you so much for everything, and I pray about this all in our name, Central Best Family. True.
And so we'll have our second song, which will be Unite into One. It's a way to find saving far way beyond the landscape. Let's do you now. Let you know. Yeah, so today's reading will be short, but I think quite relevant, which is the first line of the divine principle, the exposition of divine principle, which is everyone is struggling to attain happiness and avoid misfortune. The start of a lot of people's lives and the start of a lot of people's spiritual lives, and over the weekend, the start of a lot of lectures, I'm sure. So today is a different service, which would have been gone out in email, but for those that would like to be refreshed, we are going to have a lecture competition based off the practice that people were doing over this workshop we had over the weekend. I think it was quite a successful weekend for people to very, very briefly scratch ever so slightly the surface that is the DP lecturing, and that's and I think that it was very little time for people to prepare something that is, it's right now, and before has been, there's quite a big and complex structure for how to lecture, and we still heavily encourage people to take the leap into preparing something. And so the lectures are more so points that people have liked or that they felt connected to from the DP, and talking about how it's more so about how it applies to them in life, and just kind of like what they have gathered from that aspect of the DP. So there will be 3 people participating in the competition, which will be Brendan McCann, Daniel McCann, and Conal O'Kearney. And then we'll also have an additional testimony from Ashley Neacon. So just about, I guess, more of her time, like as I said, scratching the surface. So I think maybe we can start with the testimony. Okay, so so of course with the competition there needs to be a winner. So there will be 3 judges. So the 3 judges are Tinko, Eli, and Heidi. Please give them a round of applause. If they could come, they have assigned seating in front. So I guess I can announce it now that the prize for the winner of the competition will be €100. Greatly sponsored by the church. May the best person win, but at the end of the day, everyone's a winner for studying the DP. So first, I'd just like a bit aside from the competition, just like to invite Ashley to give a testimony of her time. So please give her a big round of applause.
It's just a short testimony. I brought this together really quickly, so it might not be the best, but I never really knew much about the divine principle. Like I kind of just like, my dad would like say it and I'd be like, yeah, like I know what that is, but like I didn't really understand like the meaning of it and all. But then when we arrived, we started reading it, and like I actually took some time to myself to read it. And I tried to think of how I could make it into a lecture, but I found it a bit difficult. But hopefully in the future I could do that. I understood it, but like I didn't really know how to like put it into words and like relate it to like my own life. But it was I read the first chapter, which was about like dual characteristics and like subject and object partner, and internal form and external nature, or is it the other way around? But hopefully I do plan on reading it more and understanding it, because like I say that I'm in the church, but like do I really understand like the main like not origins but like meaning of our church? So I think the DP will probably help with that. And so we had lectures from Eli and like tips about how to lecture the DP, and he also talked about like the introduction and how like there's like there's stuff like you can say like there's like dual characteristics or something that depend on each other, so like positive and negative, there's like a purpose for that, or like big and small, or darkness and light. But good and evil isn't really like evil isn't meant to be a natural thing. Like it's like kind of destructive and they don't have a purpose like for each other. And I thought that was a really important thing to take in, and I never actually like thought of it like that. And he also talked about how there's like a good happiness and like a short-term happiness that can lead to like misery, and a long-term happiness that can lead to just like a happy life. And then we had a testimony from Tom Corley, which is about his early life and how he joined the church. And then it made me think about how, not how easy it is for second gen in the church, but like obviously we still both have the same value as first and second gen. But it made me like appreciate the first gen, and like it can cause more difficulties in their early life and like more problems than second gen would have. And I found that really interesting, and it's very nice meeting him as well. And also I like to talk about like how I feel going to workshops, and like I did like how small it was. I know it was only like one day, and like, but I do like how small it was, because I remember for my first senior workshop it was pretty small, and I feel like I connected with more people because you have more individual time with each person. And so I felt like it was nice meeting Valeria as well and then getting to know her. And she is a pro at DP lecturing, so it was good to see her. And hopefully I'll be like her one day. And but yeah, and I also just really like workshops as well, especially like international, obviously Irish ones as well. But yeah, but yeah, I do connect a lot with second gen, and like especially international. And sorry, I don't know why I keep saying especially. No, but I do appreciate the efforts, and I hope that I do that as well. And I know other in the Irish community, and that doesn't like die down. Sorry, and but yeah, I do like talking to second gen because you can relate to each other. Like I wouldn't really relate to them as I relate to like my outside friends, and talk about stuff that I wouldn't usually like feel comfortable talking with my like other friends. And I am really grateful to have the community here, and I hope that we all stay connected no matter how old we get. And yeah, I do hope there's going to be another DP workshop, and yeah, I appreciate the opportunity. And yeah, that's my testimony.
Thank you, Aisling. We all enjoy having an international community. So there's no shame in saying that. It's nice to get out of home, that's for sure. But yeah, so yeah, I hope that gave a nice quick overview about the workshop and kind of what we were working on and what we wanted to convey, which is definitely about yeah, a bit more about the importance about understanding why we're here at the end of the day. Like, yes, we might like each other, we might enjoy being together, but at the end of the day, we are here because True Father and because of teachings of the DP. And I've always felt that it's really important to at least have some like a basic understanding of it, to be able to talk even just like service level to people about the general concepts, even if you might not understand it, which I can't say that I fully understand everything. And I don't think everyone can say they understand fully everything that the DP talks about, because there is so many layers to it. And I think that, but just getting the start is always important, and really, so I'm very happy to hear that Aisling is inspired to study the DP from cover to cover and become a pro lecturer. So I'll hold her to that. But for now, I think we can welcome up our first lecturer, who volunteered himself, is Daniel McCann. Yes, that's a good point. So there's three categories or criteria that the lectures will be judged on. So there's the clarity of the content that they convey from the DP. There is their general public speaking. And the last is more of a spiritual, but they're how you feel connected to the content, or how, if you feel that they're conveying God's heart or God's view on that subject, whether it's like with their examples or with the content that they're talking about, but just kind of if you can really feel connected more so than just hearing and understanding what they're saying. So I think again, the first person will be Daniel McCann, who is a long-standing member of the community, been member for 24 years. So please give him a very warm welcome.
Whiteboard? The whiteboard? For me, so Tinko, for me, 10 is the best, but then for the others, 10 is the worst. Yeah. Oh. No nonsense, Tinko. I'll give you a 10 or Tinko, yes?
Yeah, more bribe talk and you're disqualified.
Okay. So, yes, so. Yeah, so the topic I'll talk about on the DP is the purpose of creation and the purpose of life. The reason why I wanted to talk about that topic is because for me, that's the part of the DP that resonates with me the most. For my dad, I think this is common when you hear first-gen testimonies. It's a very natural human like thought and feeling of, what is the purpose? Why am I on this earth? What am I to do here? And for me, when I read the DP in my teens, there was a lot of it that I didn't understand, or a lot of it didn't resonate with me at that time. And the purpose of creation was the one section that did resonate with me the most. Because, when you were a kid, you hear the phrase of the purpose of creation is to return joy to God. And I remember being young and I was like, that sounds very selfish, doesn't it? We're just on this earth just to give joy to God. Like, do I need to suffer to give joy to God? Or so initially my understanding was very blurred and I was a bit like, I didn't question it too much, but I wasn't so clear on it. And then through further study of the DP in like late teens and early 20s, then you come to understand more deeply what it truly means to return joy to God. Fulfilling the 4-position foundation and fulfilling the 3 great blessings, and to understand it on a more deeper level. Then it helps me really appreciate the first gen more. Who I cannot imagine in my late teens giving up everything, dropping everything, joining the church, arguably a cult back in the day, but let's not go there. It's mind-boggling, and I would never imagine that myself. So it makes me appreciate it a lot more. And yeah, so then you come back to the 3 great blessings and the 4-position foundation, and how do you actually return joy to God? And I'm a very simple person. I always try to get the summary of I'm similar to my dad in that way. My dad's just like, ChatGPT, what's the summary of this book? And then, just looks at the summary, doesn't worry about the details too much. I am similar in that regard, where I just want to take the summary. Welcome, James. Just a little context. I'm talking about the purpose of creation. No, you're all good. I'm talking about the purpose of creation, just so you have a bit of context. And so, yeah, with myself, it's how do I return joy to God? It's through, you can't really, there's only so much joy you can create by yourself. It's more through your connections with other people that you can create even more joy. And then in the future, your future relationship, your future partner, family as well, is also one of the greatest ways to return joy to God. And so for me, just trying to keep it very simple, try to live a good life, enjoy myself. The more happy I am, God feels joy through me, because you always hear the phrase, God he doesn't have any physical body. He kind of lives inside all of us. And when you truly experience joy, he can kind of feel that joy through himself. He can feel that joy through you. And so it's kind of a simple, it's not this selfish, I just need to give joy to God. It's you live your best life in your most joyous life to also then return joy to God. So it's a bit of a win-win situation. And that was definitely a conclusion I was a bit more satisfied with. And yeah, so it's nice and simple, you know, enjoy my life, take time to build my relationships with other people, take time to get along with people, help people out when needed, like do like charity work or church accounting or whatever, organizing second gen workshops, doing sports, being very fulfilled personally, and then career, put some effort into the career. So it's kind of the way I live my life is almost like a very simple way of just, you know, enjoying my life to the fullest, feeling very satisfied and fulfilled and joyous, and then also helping to give joy to other people as well. And then of course in the future, family at some point, kind of grow a very nice, beautiful family with following and centered along the values of the church, which I do very strongly believe in as well. And that's kind of, that's for me was the part of the DP that resonated the most was kind of the purpose. And it's this kind of like a win-win situation that I was a lot more satisfied with of, you know, we're both extremely happy. We can both live joyous lives. And yeah, that's kind of how I would summarize that part of the DP for myself. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Daniel. I feel that, yeah, I think at least for second gen, the purpose of creation is something that we all latch onto very quickly as something that we like can digest and apply to our lives. At least it was for me, and I feel that's, you know, like when it comes to talking about DP with second gen, it's usually what comes up the most in my experience. Well, thank you again, Daniel. So I think to mix up the families, next we can welcome Conal. Not as long-standing as Daniel, but no less impact, I'm sure, he'll have in his life. So please welcome Conal.
Hey, hello, everyone. I'm going to be giving a talk on the relationship between mind and body, and spiritual and physical. So yeah, everyone's human here. But the one thing that we all have in common, or one of the things we have in common, is we all have a physical body. You know, some people looking better than others. You know, I'm not saying names, but that's kind of one thing that unites us all as humans. We all have a body, and then there's the other side to it, where the minds, where it's a lot more. You don't see it, and it's a lot harder to it's a lot different. Like we all look differently physically. We all have this we all have a different mind. And yeah, the main what really separates us and what gives us the most potential to love God is that we have the spiritual side to our mind as well. Yeah, so also, yeah, we all have a different spirit. We all carry our spirit inside us. And yeah, I like to use the analogy for our spirit. It's like we all have a radio, we all have a spiritual radio, and we all have an antenna that allows us to connect to the spiritual world and God. Yeah, and some people's antennas go all the way up. They have really clear connection, really strong, direct kind of communication with the spirit world. Some people's not so much. It's like barely extended, and they've kind of fuzzy, more blurred communication. And some people's radio is just turned off, or it's broken, or the screw is loose or something. So kind of being able to it's our like task to be able to fine tune a radio so we can have that clear connection to the spirit world and God. Yeah, so obviously as physical people, we all grow physically, but also we need to be able to grow a spirit as well inside us. And the way we do that is to give and take action centered on God. And there's many ways we can do this, just simple kind of as a community, just interacting, or the old classic fundraising, which I'm sure many of you guys have done it here. Fortunately or unfortunately, I had to do fundraising as well, but fundraising really is a place where it's really focused on give and take action. And that's kind of, for me, the biggest part of my life where I've kind of seen the biggest interaction between physical and spiritual, and the importance of those two interactions, why they need to be interconnected for you to succeed. Yeah, because fundraising, it can be seen as a purely kind of just one-to-one interaction, like a salesman, you're selling something. And kind of, yeah, I think that was my mindset going into fundraising mostly. But yeah, I think, and then hearing so many people how the original kind of idea of fundraising was like to be able to, yeah, have that spiritual connection and like being a channel for you to work through this with the spirit world. Yeah, so yeah, it works both ways for fundraising, because if you're really physically kind of active for fundraising, you're really ready to go fundraising. But internally, if you're not really in that, if your spirit isn't connected or you're not so in tune with that spiritual side of you, it's going to be really hard for you to, and I've noticed that as well, have like genuine, really deep interactions instead of just like a conversation or, you know, and like missing out on opportunities to be able to connect kind of, yeah, the spirit world to people who need it as well. So that's a really big, important part of the spirit, which, yeah, it's really, yeah, we need to be able to grow ourselves to be able to be that channel for other people. And also physically, if we're, spiritually, if we're like really kind of active or really inspired spiritually to go fundraising. But if we're like physically just stuck on a bench, sitting there for like hours, and we won't be able to have those interactions with people. So it's really, yeah, that really interaction between physical and spirit is like so important. And we can't do one without the other. Yeah. And also, yeah, that was kind of, yeah, just, yeah, because I know spirit, like it's easy to ignore, like some people don't accept it, or it's kind of, it can be seen as more subjective, but yeah, I know I definitely noticed it during fundraising, and yeah, for me that was, yeah, I definitely saw the lacking side of the spiritual side. That's why I kind of felt really disconnected with fundraising. Yeah, and also going forward with our spirit, yeah, like how can we develop our spirit? That's kind of the biggest way, or it's like our goal that we have to work towards. Because obviously, physically, it's important that we're healthy to reflect the spirit, like the internal. But yeah, to be really spiritually, you're always looking to grow and being able to deeper connection with spirit world and God. Because I mean, that's kind of what we're praying for. Like our physical body is just like a temporary kind of thing that allows us to grow spiritually. But yeah, the balance, finding the right balance between both is so important as well. Yeah, just even thinking about fundraising, like, yeah, like you have like that spiritual side gives you the kind of, yeah, it gives you what the physical side can't really do for you in terms of intuition or kind of sending messages or stuff like that. Yeah, I remember one day I was fundraising, I was going up a really big hill, I was like really struggling. I was like, okay, I'll just do one more house before I take my break. And yeah, I felt like a house is kind of like a shabby looking house, like, yeah, it's probably not going to be here. I'll just ring the doorbell and I'll just make my way out. Yeah, and then like, yeah, I rang for a few seconds and this guy came out, like a really like positive guy, like a business kind of entrepreneur. Yeah, we talked for like half an hour about business and like stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, he PayPal me, he paid me with PayPal. I was like, okay, I don't know how like kind of confident I was about that, but yeah, I had that spiritual kind of like, that's just like the trust or like that, knowing that it's kind of, yeah, that spiritual intuition that, yeah, I don't know, that's physical that can't really get from you, that you can't get. So like that, yeah, that's really something that I learned, the really like spiritual kind of side that many people don't have, and yeah, we need to be able to help everyone kind of get that. But yeah, it's kind of something like that, just like that intuition that I just felt I had to go to that one more house and kind of, yeah, to have that interaction that set me up for the rest of the day kind of, but yeah, and also, and why we need kind of to be able to get mind and body unit to achieve perfection in the long run, and yeah, really just get to the deepest level we can with like spirit world and God, and yeah, so that's kind of what we're working on, and yeah, that's kind of what stood out for me in the DP. So.
Thank you, Conal. I can't speak from experience about fundraising, but I think just being in, interacting with people and trying to really connect with them more than just on a physical side, whether you know them or not, it really brings a lot of experiences and really brings, positive, like generally quite very positive things into your life about how, like expectations are usually blown away when you take the step the right way, that you, even if you want to, you're not feeling the best, but you take that extra step, and usually your expectations can be blown away just because you took that extra step. So thank you for that. So the last, definitely not least, is a person with a name near and dear to my heart. So please welcome up Brendan McCann.
Thank you very much. Being the last speaker and having the platform, I want to quickly say thank you to Brendan and Larry for organizing the workshop. Like, even though we've had a lot of meetups over the past few months, it's actually been quite a while since you had like an organized workshop environment. So that's actually very nice and refreshing. So it's a genuinely very good workshop. Hoping we can do bigger, longer ones in the future. So yeah. All right, so just want to get that out of the way in the last speaker. So I'm just gonna quickly write down my final things I need. In the essence of my dad, I'm not going to restrict myself to the podium or be up front.
Do you need a better microphone?
Yeah.
See the black one? There's a small black one there. Oh.
There's a lot of doors. Oh, there it is. What's that? I get a black phone. I mean, perfect came out fine.
You didn't say it.
All right, so the title of my talk is Why Should We Care for Other People? So just to give a bit of preface, a bit of context. So just give a bit of preface or context. Personally, for me, I think the part of both the movement, the DP, and the church, I would argue the fundamental building block of all of that, if you're to condense it as short as possible, is to live for the sake of others, 4 words, just to care for other people. So for me, the concept of the DP that resonates most with that, just personally, what resonated most for me was the constant give and take action. And so my talk as well is more geared towards, as if I'm talking to a random person on the street. So this person would not necessarily have knowledge about the church or the movement or anything. So it could just be your average Joe. So I obviously won't rely heavily on church terminology, things like that. But yeah, why should we care for the people? My first reason for this is what I call the selfishness paradox. So, the reason why this is called a paradox is because, okay, so let's say you want to care for yourself. You just want to do what yields the best results for just you as a person. So you can draw a circle around yourself and you only care about your own needs. So let's give a more concrete example. Let's say you have a group of 6 friends, and in that friend group, you don't care for other people. You only have conversations with them if it benefits you. You share a problem, it makes you feel better. If you make a joke, they laugh and make you feel good. If you go out for food, maybe you don't share your food, you don't tip the waiter, you don't split the bill. You just simply do not frankly care about other people. It's only what matters to you. Your friends don't because it makes you feel better. And I'm sure from experience, or even over time from affirmations, you notice that over time, your relationship with these people will distance, it will separate over time, because simply from their perspective, like, why would they want to spend time with you if you're just a selfish person, like a black hole, pulling everything in and not reciprocating anything out? So it's a paradox, because ironically, if you actually want to care about your own needs and yield one of the best results for yourself, one solution for that is to be selfless, to care for others. And so obviously, just from Buddhism, for example, I'm sure a lot of us have heard it, like there's a fundamental law of karma. So what you give out to the world, you would receive back. So, let's say you have friends, for example, and you really care about this person, talk to them, help out with their issues. But down the line, they would feel a need to somehow return that back to you. And it's natural human instinct, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That just goes all throughout history. That's a common thread running through evolution and everything. It's you help me out, I'll help you back in return. So yeah, being selfish is ironically a detriment to yourself. So that's one reason why you should care for other people. And also, just to build on this point, would it really be a DP vector, a dendroid diagram? Just for the ones on Zoom, while I'm running 2 circles, one labeled S, one labeled O. I think you know the rest of the story. 2 arrows going back and forth. So this is the concept, I would call give and take action. It's not my idea. Not trademark. So basically what's going on in this diagram is you have two entities and you have a subject and an object, and how it works is there's arrows between them, symbolizing a reciprocation or interaction between these two objects. So it could be two people, it could even be a person and an object, like an artist and a piece of art. So those entities can like resemble almost anything in the world. It doesn't even have to be physical. It could be an emotion, an idea, a person, anything. So the point of this diagram is that you have two things interacting with each other, where if you give something, you can receive something in return. And also the key thing with this is you have, let's say, I'll just probably build line here, symbolizing sort of platform. This is what we call a common base. So I mean, just from personal experience, you notice you just can't go random on the street. You don't know what to talk to the person about. There's no like point of relation or like relatability. So like let's say you meet someone at work, right away you got something to talk about, something to like relate on. There's a point of reference there. You can talk about work, you can talk about school. It's about, you can't just have interactions with these things that are completely isolated. It has to be kind of centered or grounded on something. Like to symbolize that the line. So that's my first little reason there. So my second one I'm going to call the dialectal structure. And this point was inspired by a book I read by a social psychologist called Jonathan Haidt. So like I'll bring you all the way back, let's say thousands of years with hunter-gatherers. Back then with anthropological societies, like you notice that there's very small groups of people, so either families as opposed to like big tribes or villages or communities. There was lots of family units moving around. And let's just hypothetically say you're a father in this family, you need to have a lot of knowledge of just the human experience. Like if your son broke his ankle, what you need to do if he catches a cold, you need to know how to navigate the forest at night. You know, reading the moon and the stars, knowing directions, north, south, whatever, how to cook food, do fires. There was just so much knowledge, and you couldn't rely too much on people outside of you. And even if, let's say you're like, even let's say your arm broke as well, you're limited by what you can do and how you can help others. You can't rely on too much people outside of you. But then you notice as time moved on through humanity, you know, humans started congregating in tribes and then villages, and then even in recent 1,000 years of the Industrial Revolution, you have cities and towns and countries. And I'd argue this is necessary because everybody together can contribute their unique skill sets to help each other. So for example, let's say in today's society, let's say my toilet breaks. You know, I don't need to study 3 years of plumbing to fix it. I can call a plumber. They can help me out. Or let's say I have a legal dispute, I can call a lawyer. I don't need to study law for 4 years to figure it out. So as a society, we all have different skill sets and jobs, and together we can contribute to each other's lives. Or even the rewiring in the center, for example, you know, I'm sure you're a talented man, but can you learn rewiring in a few months to fix the whole center? We need to get a specialist, someone that's committed a lot of time, and they're naturally good at these things. And so we should care for the people simply because it's actually very necessary for society to function. You know, as one family, it's almost simply impossible to encompass everything about the human experience. You can't know how to do everything. You need other people to come in and help you out. Now, I'm not advocating for everyone should be single-mindedly only focused on one skill and one thing. I really would encourage people to be multi-specialist, to be good at many different things and competent in those things. An example I'll give is my older brother Samuel with his van. He could have rang up a specialist to do his electrics, get someone else to do his DIY and the drawers and the seats and everything. But no, he actually chose to work from the ground up and to try to encompass all aspects of the van. So he wanted to figure out all the electrics himself, do a lot of reading up on it, bought a few books, read a few things about it, and he did the electrics himself, made a few mistakes, and he learned from that. And it was the water system, and then the engine, and then the vents, and the solar panel. You know, now, was it incredibly satisfying for him? Yes. Is it feasible on a human scale? Not really. That took him a long time to do the van, and otherwise he would have had it done quickly. So yeah, it's necessary that together we all contribute our skills, but I'm not advocating for all of us to be single-minded on one particular skill. And just finally, just as a sort of conclusion, as a conclusive point, Humans are fundamentally ultra social. We evolved and we grew through social environments and interaction with people. We're born in a web of interconnectedness with each other. And so it's just a fundamental part of human nature to interact and be with each other. But I think it's necessary that we should care about our fellow human beings. So yeah, that's my fault. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brendan. Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, I think the point of that he made very well throughout the talk and the lecture was about give and take action, which is something that I think is overlooked a lot when you interact with anything, but it's definitely at the basis of it, as Brendan pointed out and elaborated on very well. It's at the basis of everything, whether it's you're developing yourself or interacting with society. It's always going to be about give and take action. So that is the 3 lectures we have today. Maybe during the final song, we can collect the scores, and after, as part of the announcements, we can announce an overall winner. But for now, I think I would like to close this with a prayer. So if people could please join me in prayer. Most Holy Parent, I would like to thank you that we can all be gathered here today during this definitely a different service, but I think a very very fun and very interesting to see so many different takes and so many different experiences and on something that that is our common ground, that is our the reason for us to all be here. And I pray that we can really receive something from any of the speakers to really be able to bring with us into the new week and into our lives, and that thank everyone that did come up to speak and to really share this part of their hearts with us, and that we can really maybe hear more from them and from others as well. And I want to thank you again for everything, for this time that we had together over the weekend and for this time together today. I'd like to report this in our names, Barry McManus, and all our names here. So we'll have our
we can discuss in the office. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the judges can go and confer. Larry, you want to go straight there? Just to get the final.
I think about to answer ourselves.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll have our final song before we get too derailed, which will be By the Spring of Life. So if people could play the final song, if By the Spring of Life, and we can close the service. Into the Mexican spring of life. We will be was interesting. So yeah, so just wait for the judges to come back to announce the overall winner, but I would also like to announce that there is a participation prize for each and every one, which will be a 30 € gift card of your choice. So you can contact me about getting that organized. So yeah, I think it was quite nice, the workshop, and as things were, as I mentioned, I think it was a very good start, and it's, as people said, I really hope that this can be continued, have longer and more, and as we develop having more focused DP lectures. I think it was a really good start to get people really thinking about how aspects of the DP apply to their lives, and really and to share that with everyone, to get the experience of not just giving a testimony or talking about it, but really trying to have a focus point that they talk about and try and convey those points, which I think is a lot different than just normal public speaking. So I think we can give another round of applause to everyone that talked today. I'll invite Eli up for announcements, general announcements, and the winner of the competition as well.
So should I start with general announcements or? We'll start with some general announcements quickly. Tomorrow, next weekend is going to be our home church weekend because it's a bank holiday. So people hopefully have some nice plans. I think I mentioned in the email, we're taking the kids to Legoland. So me and Victor are really excited. Hopefully the kids enjoy it too. And then the following week we'll have a regular membership meeting and stuff. And also, I think that's it, actually. There's no lunch. Is there lunch downstairs?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there's lunch downstairs. It's a nice bonus. So that'll be good.
Still a little prep on it, but it'll be ready.
Okay, all right, good. And then I think we have a guest here with us today. If they would just like to maybe stand briefly and say a few words, Mr. Corley. I think it's yeah. Do you want to? I'll bring it over. You can stay there.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
Just hold it here.
All right. I'll just move it here, just so I can see your faces.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm a little stiff, as you can see. I had a stroke about almost 2 years ago on August 14, 2021. So my left side is slightly paralyzed, running from my eye to my toes. But anyway, thank goodness I can walk and talk. My name is Tom Corley. So maybe most of you know. I'm Jack Corley's younger brother. But I did join the church before him, about a year before him, and then he came to inquire about the church because I was part of it and he wanted to see what I was involved in. And so he ended up joining, and two of my sisters also joined. So 4 of our family were members at one time. My oldest sister returned home and my father passed away because she felt she needed to take care of our mother, help take care of our mother. So I'm here now. I didn't expect to be here at this time because I had the stroke. Then I was driving part-time in addition to my pastor work. I've been the pastor in Long Island, New York for 27 years in the same church. That's probably a bit of a record for a unificationist pastor. But anyway, I've been the pastor for 27 years, and I was the assistant pastor for 6 years before that. So I've been there altogether about 33 years in the same location, same house. Anyway, I don't want to go on too long. But one of the reasons I'm here is my older brother, who's not a church member, because I had the stroke, he invited me to come and stay with them for the whole summer in County Clare. It was actually his wife's idea. And she had rarely spoken to me since I reconnected with the church 35 years ago. She used to be very friendly to me when I was not active, but after I returned, she barely spoke to me. And then all of a sudden, a few months ago, my brother sent me a neonin telling me that his wife wanted me to come and stay with them for the whole summer. It was a big shock, not only to me, to my brother too. So I responded and I said, well, I can't come for the whole summer, but I can come for a few weeks. Initially, I thought about 2 weeks, and then my brother said, well, how about 4 weeks? And so I accepted that. And he said, you don't need to worry about anything else. Just get here. We'll take care of everything else. That has been the case, since I've arrived, and I really appreciate, totally unexpected, otherwise I would not have been able to come. Anyway, then he took me up to I have three sisters living in Ireland, so he took me up to my sister's house for 5 days, and then she took me to visit the other two sisters. And then there was about 4 or 5 day overlap where my sister was busy and my brother was busy too. So then I said to them, how about if I go to Dublin and visit the church? Because both of you are busy and I don't want to be just sitting around the house. And so then I called Bruno, because I know him. His son works at a hospital 15 minutes from the church center in New York, and David, and he stayed with us for about 5 days after he came to America, before he went, worked at the hospital. So that's how I know Bruno, and then I called him, and then he spoke to Eli if I would be able to stay here for a few days. And that was very nice, because it was very short notice. There's almost no notice to be able to stay here at the church center and meet all of you. And I gave a testimony this morning to the young people, and that was very nice also. But I joined the church in Dublin in end of October 1972. I was 16 years old and I joined. I had run away from boarding school in search of my mission, and I found the Messiah within weeks. Oh, thank you very much. Can I take a picture of all of you? That's okay.
You can actually sit down. I can take a picture of all you
Okay,
together.
well, I'll take one first and then I'll sit down. So I don't want to have anybody miss.
He gets us all in.
Yes, great. Yeah, got everybody. Okay, one, front of the page. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. Now somebody can take it.
You can sit right here.
Oh.
Ready? 1, come smile. Great.
Okay, great.
That's a great trick. I'm gonna try that the next time I'm taking a picture. Pick on somebody. Okay. So thank you, Mr. Corley, for sharing. It's always really nice when we can kind of connect to the source, the origin of the Irish movement, right? So I'll say so now the kind of moment that some of you are eagerly waiting for. So I did want to say I very much liked the approach. I thought it was very nice to kind of have a bit of testimony sharing. Actually, I wish Aisling you had joined the contest because I think you were in the running. I very much appreciate your thoughts and your sharing. But the judges felt there was a clear winner, and so we agreed that it was Brendan McCann. So if everyone give him a round of applause. But we did want to point out, we felt actually all three speakers were quite good on the public speaking aspect. They had very similar scores, though Brendan did kind of have a little bit of an advantage there, kind of standing up, using the board, so we gave him a little bit extra. But I think the real, Heidi made a very good point where the first two lectures felt more like a testimony, like it was for the members, where Brendan's kind of really felt like it could be something that you could start to give to a guest, right? And so that was kind of the little bit that we felt the advantage, right? It's kind of that more kind of educating someone new aspect of it. And it did include a little bit more clarity around one or two specific DP items. Definitely got some points for writing something on the board that was from the DP, right? Subject and object, right? So, and that is a crucial part of, the divine principle, although everyone's points, we're covering the crucial divine principle element, but there was that little bit of difference that we felt kind of gave him the edge. We just wanted to give that little bit of feedback, but overall, great job, everyone. Thanks so much. Again, thanks to Brendan and Valeria for organizing. And then on a final note, and we'll have some cake downstairs to celebrate as well. I do want to officially announce that Brendan and Valeria will be taking over the church center leader, city leader role, and hopefully be moving into the center next weekend during the bank holiday. So everyone give them a round of applause. We've had enough speeches, so we're gonna go down and eat. So, but I do want to say I'm very excited to working with them, and I've got a whole list of tasks for them to start. So, welcome to the public mission. God bless. All right, everyone, have a great Sunday. Thanks again to everyone for helping out. Presentations? Oh, the prizes. So I think we're emailing the prizes, right? The prizes are, so everyone gets a Amazon gift card, and then Brendan, I guess you have a Revolut or something. All right, thank you, everyone. Have a great one.